Yesterday we have started our studies on interpersonal relationship. As I told you in the beginning, for the successful life, we need to maintain a proper interpersonal relationship. If we cannot get along with the people around us, definitely we cannot succeed in our life. And we took our study in the book of Ruth as a base of that. The book of Ruth, we saw that the book of Ruth primarily the redemption story, but it also includes a lot of information related with the interpersonal relationship. And the title of the book itself, Ruth, means friendship. That itself shows that the book is speaking about interpersonal relationship. And in that book, we have seen around 85 verses are there. Out of that, 50 verses are conversational type. That itself shows again that this book is dealing with that subject of interpersonal relationship. Because some of you were absent, that's why just repeated some of these things. And we have seen 7 interpersonal relationship in this book. Out of that, 3 we have covered yesterday. The first and the foremost relationship which we should have in our life is our relationship with God. All the success of a life depends upon that relationship. Secondly, yesterday we saw the relationship between employee and employer. In the field of Boaz, what a beautiful relationship they had. Boaz and his workers were very much related each other, and there is absolute satisfaction in the field of Boaz. And thirdly, in the evening, we yesterday consider the joy of being a grandparent, the relationship between grandmother and the grandchild. In the book of Ruth, we see that. What a beautiful relationship it is that. And that we have considered yesterday evening, the joy of being a grandparent. Now, as I told you, we have 7 relationships. I don't think I may be able to cover it. Today, we'll be looking into the relationship between husband and wife. I think that is an appropriate message for this morning time as we are all gathered together. It is always better to think about that. In this book, we read about that. In the book of Ruth, chapter 4, if you read, chapter 4, verse 11 and 12, we see a beautiful description of the relationship between husband and wife. Shall we turn to that? Ruth, chapter 4, verse 11 and 12. And all the people who were in the gate, and the elders said, "We are witnesses. Lord, make the women who is come into thine house like the Rachel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Israel, and which two did build the house of Israel, and do thou worthily in Ephrathah, and be famous in Bethlehem." Verse 12, and let the house be like the house of Perish, whom Tamar bore unto Judah, of the seed which the Lord shall give thee of these young women. Of course, I don't have much time to elaborate the details about it. Here we see the marriage of Boaz and Ruth is described. Of course, we all love to go to marriages. It's a very beautiful event. The question is arising in our mind, why we attend a marriage? First, we attend the marriage to meet interaction. Finally, we will have a nice food, isn't it? That is what we normally do that. But in these verses, we see the twofold purpose of attending a marriage. Number one, we are witnesses. We are going to attend a marriage because we are witnessing that marriage. Second thing, we are going to attend a marriage because we want to wish the newly married couple. So witnessing and wishing is the purpose of attending marriage. Now, in this passage which we have read, verse 11 and 12, is one of the most beautiful marriage benediction written in the scripture. The congregation is blessing the newly married couple. As I told you, we are going to the marriages to bless the newly married couple. This blessing, you read it, that is a very good blessing we can offer to the newly married couple. Second, as I told you, the purpose is that to witness the marriage. Why we have to witness? Because marriage is a covenant. A covenant cannot be validated without the witnesses. And we know that marriage is a covenant between the husband and wife taken in the presence of the Lord, and the Lord himself is the witness, number one witness. And we also join with him to witness the marriage. So, marriage is a covenant. That is very important. And that is why witnesses are needed for the marriage. And in no way, marriage covenant can be dissolved. The number one reason for that, because the Lord himself is the witness for the marriage. Being we are taking the marriage covenant in the presence of the Lord, no way it can be dissolved. Bible very clearly says, it is God who is joining them as the husband and wife. Sometimes people have a lot of argument because for that. They say that, no, that girl has cheated me. That boy has cheated me. He did not reveal all the truth. So I don't want to continue with this marriage. Let me tell you, sometimes that can happen. But that doesn't mean that the marriage covenant will be dissolved. This cannot be dissolved. The reason, as I told you, God is the witness for the marriage covenant. In the presence of the Lord, when we take this marriage covenant, we have to abide with that. Whatever may be the background in which the oath was taken, we have to abide with that. The beautiful example is the Gibeonites making a covenant with the nation of Israel. Really, Gibeonites cheated the people of Israel, isn't it? They really cheated it. But they had taken the oath without consulting God and all, Joshua, and they took the oath. But see, the covenant was remained without any violation because they had taken the covenant in the name of the Lord. I want to tell you this very important thing. And even that covenant, after 400 years, Saul violated that covenant. He killed the Gibeonites. God's judgment came upon Saul's family. Just I don't have the time to elaborate, so just I will leave it. That means even after 400 years, that covenant which was made by the Gibeonite was valid. Even though they cheated it, God has considered that covenant is valid. So no excuses. I want to tell you that there is no excuses to say that the marriage covenant can be dissolved. No court, no government can dissolve it. It is God has joined together. The marriage covenant is permanent. Because nowadays so many issues are related with the marriage. So I thought of just sharing few words on that. Now, in this passage, just hurriedly we'll go because I have only 10-15 minutes now. So just half of my time is over before starting itself. Now comes to the point where we have to start with. Here in Ruth chapter 4, verse 11 and 12, beautiful we see the fourth marriage there. Look, here that Lord, make the women who is come into thine house, verse 11 I am reading, like Rachel and Leah, which two did build the house of Israel. Number one, the role of a wife. The role of a wife to build the house. So, that is the role of a wife. Next one we see there, and do thou worthily in Ephrathah. That is the role of a husband. Second one, do thou worthily in Ephrata. Number 3, be famous in Bethlehem. The purpose of marriage. Number 4, let thy house be like the house of Paris. The success of marriage. Briefly, I will let you know. These are the fourfold aspect of the marriage. Again, we will some more things are there, but at least this. Let us look into this fourfold thing. Number 1, the role of a wife. The wife is the one is behind the building of the house or building the family. She is behind that. Secondly, we see, do the worthily in Ephrata. There we see the role of a husband. Be famous in Bethlehem. That is the purpose of marriage. Finally, let your house be like the house of Paris. That is the success of marriage. Behind the success of every man, we know that there's a woman. Even though man may be a very intelligent man, maybe a wealthy man, very healthy man, whatever he may be having, but without the help of his wife, he cannot be a successful man. For the success of a man, the wife's help is very, very needed. That is, we see that. We read that in Proverbs chapter 9, verse 1, we see that wisdom has built a house. She had hewn out 7 pillars. So, pillars are supporting structures. 7 is a perfect support. So, without the perfect support of the wife, a house cannot be built. I still remember watching the TV program where the Nobel Prize distribution is going on. The Nobel Prize winners' names will be called. And the photographer will focus upon him. Immediately after that, they focus upon the face of a woman. That is his wife. That means showing that the success behind this man was this lady. Without the help of the wife, he could not have succeeded it. So we see that the success of every man is with the help of wife. So here we see that wisdom has built a house. She hewn out 7 pillars. Hewn out, I really liked it. That means it's a hard work. It's not a small thing. A wife, for the success of the family, the wife should be a hard-working woman. The success is behind that. She is actually, a lot of informations are there. I always say that the wife is the home minister. She has to take care of every aspect of the home. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 14, if you language, oikodyspodia means in the house, she is like a despot, that is a very ruler. She has all the authority inside the house. She is a fruitful vine within the house. She is, as I told you, she is the home minister. She has to take control of every aspect in the house. Once I speaking about that, she is the home minister. Men did not like, their faces were gloomy. They said, wife is home minister. I said, don't worry about it. You are the prime minister. Then they were very happy. So the husband is the prime minister and the wife is the home minister. She has to take care of every aspect of it. At the same time, she should be obedient to her husband. So in building, she is involved in the building of the house. She is hewn out the 7 pillars. Hard-working, laboring women. We read in Proverbs chapter 31 about the virtuous women. Lot of qualities are mentioned. I liked one quality which is mentioned there. It is mentioned that she gets up 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. At what time she gets up? Early morning, before the sunrise. Before the sunrise, she gets up. She has everything, she has every facilities, but to look after the household thing, she gets up by 7 o'clock, say early morning, before the sunrise, she gets up. The success of a family is behind that is the hardworking women. We know that Eleazar went in search of, maybe Eleazar, the servant of Abraham, went in search of a girl for his master's son. One thing he said that, I will go there, I ask water, if a girl gives me water, that may be the girl whom the Lord has appointed for my master's son. Not only that, she should give water to my camels. I will not ask, but she should give that. Why he made that comment? The reason we see that this was surprising. When he went there, the Rebecca came and she offered water, Of course, that man can drink only maximum half a liter water, maximum, okay? Or maybe 1 liter, you take it. But he can take little bit, he took water. And Rebecca is immediately said that, I am willing to give water to your camels. Is it easy? To feed camels, to give water to camels is not at all easy. You know how much water a camel drinks? Approximately, a camel drinks 135 liters of water. It's not 1 liter, 2 liter. How many camels were there? 10 camels were there. That means you can very easily understand 1,300 liters of water, or maybe more than that. She has to draw. What he was testing is that whether Rebecca is a hardworking or not. He knew that the girl who is coming to my master's house should be a hardworking person. Only a hardworking person can build the house properly. The women who gets up early in the morning, really a great blessing. And she can look after every household thing, and she can rule the house well. So in the case of Ruth also, we have the same picture. It's mentioned that as she came all the way, traveled from Moab and all, she did not remain in the home even few times, only little time she remained. She came all the way to the field to gather the grains. Ruth also, we see that very hard-working women. So we see that women is behind the success of the family. They have the rule to build the house of God. As I told you, they are the home minister. Husband is the head of the family. The woman is the heart of the family. She pumps the blood, Without pumping the blood, life will not be there. So she is the heart of the family. So the role of a wife is mentioned here. Secondly, the role of the husband is mentioned. Do thou worthily in Ephrathah. I was going through a various translation to understand the meaning of that word. Then I understood there's a lot of meanings are there. Act worthily in Ephrathah, may you be the standing Ephrathah. Not about 15 different you take different translations. And we see that a lot of meanings are mentioned there. And the summary is this one. The role, he is the head of the family. He has to take over all the aspect of the family. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 25 says that the primary duty of the husband is to nourish and cherish his wife. That is the responsibility of the husband. Nourish and cherish the wife. He is a man of spiritual value. That is the meaning of the worthily. He should be a man of worth. He should be a virtuous man. He is a man of spiritual value. He is a man of principle. He is a man of authority. He should be a model to the whole family. He should be a head. He has a control, authority upon everything inside the house. And he should set up a spiritual standard within the home. He is the one who leads the family prayer. There should be a daily prayer in the family. And that prayer will be led by the head of the family. And he is responsible for maintaining a spiritual atmosphere at home. And make sure that family members regularly attending the assembly gatherings. Not only on Sunday, all the assembly gatherings, including the Bible study and prayer meeting. So it is a responsibility of the husband. That's the meaning of do thou worthily in Ephrathah. He is the virtuous man. He should be regulating all the spiritual aspect of the family and provide every need of the family, material needs of the family. And a part of his income or the resources, he should separate for the Lord's work. So these are some of the role the husband has to play. He is the one who leads the family. He is the one who controls the family affairs. And he should nourish and cherish the wife. That is the purpose of the role of the husband. We see that. Now, third thing, the purpose of marriage. Be famous in Bethlehem. That's the purpose of marriage. Now, when this book was writing, book of Ruth was writing, the Bethlehem was a very, very small village. It is not at all known even in Israel. Nobody knew about Bethlehem. Such a small one. Micah chapter 5 verse 2, it says about that. It was the smallest among the villages of Judea. But today, if you go to any part of the world, you ask Bethlehem. Everybody knows Bethlehem, isn't it? Everyone knows about Bethlehem. What is the reason behind it? Jesus Christ was born in Bethlehem. Jesus Christ was born in Bethlehem. And because of the birth of Christ, a tiny city, an unknown village became so famous. So, in our family, this is very important. The family should be Christ-centered family. If Christ is the center of our family, it will become famous. It will be known to everyone. Everyone will know about that family. And the God has instituted family for that purpose. It should be a Christ-centered family. Christ is the head of this home, this house. Of course, we have writings on our homes that Christ is the head of this house, the unseen, guest at every meal, the silent listener to every conversation. Most probably, what's the problem with that? We made him a guest. That's the problem. He is always there, but we consider him as a guest. He is not a guest. He should be the host of the family. He is the head of the family. He should take control of every aspect of our family. If that we allow Christ to be controlling all the aspect of the life, that is the purpose for which God has instituted family. Be famous in Bethlehem. Bethlehem, an unknown place, became so famous because Christ was born in that place. So, may in our homes, the Christ be the head and he should lead and guide our families. Lastly, let the house be like the house of Perez. I sometimes wonder why his name is included here. His name is not worth to include, isn't it? If you read Genesis chapter 38, a chapter which is normally we avoid even to read publicly in our family also. Such a chapter it is. The full of sin is there. And in that we read, in that chapter, the birth of Perez. Perez means what? Perez means lawbreaker. We were all like the Perez. We were all lawbreakers. We have broken the law of God. We were sinners and we went away from God. But what happened to Perez? We know Tamar gave birth to Perez and his brother. And it is so happened that the name of Perez and his brother appears in the genealogy of Lord Jesus Christ. That's surprising. A lawbreaker's name is coming in the genealogy of Jesus Christ. He is there in the genealogy. It is only because of the grace of God. The house of Perez is the house that enjoyed the grace of God. For the success of the marriage, not our ability, not our wealth, not our intelligence, nor any of our worldly things or whatever may be. Not our ability. The only thing that can help to have a successful family, keep in mind, the grace of God. Without the grace of God, you cannot be able to successful in your family life. Let me conclude because there's no much time to elaborate much. These are the fourfold things are mentioned here. The role of the wife, the role of husband, the purpose of marriage, be famous in Bethlehem. Finally, let the house be like the house of Perez, a family that enjoys the grace of God. One day, a preacher was preaching with the story he's sending, so you will listen. If the stories are always ending, so everybody attraction is there, right? So I'm just ending with the story. A preacher was preaching in a marriage. So he told in the marriage conversation, in the message, he said that the husband and wife, you need the grace of God. You need a basket full of grace. Then only you can able to succeed in your family life. That particular phrase, the girls and boy and girl did not like it. Basket full of grace. What it is this preacher is preaching? So anyhow, they kept quiet. After the marriage got over and they started living. But this boy and the girl, they always discussed, the preacher was speaking, for the success of marriage, you need the basket full of grace. So when they saw, while walking, they saw an old man coming. And they said, Apacha, you wait there. Just we want to ask. Our preacher said during the marriage that for a successful marriage, we need the basket full of grace. Is it true? The Apacha looked at this couple. He smiled. He said, my dear children, it is not basket full. You need a barrel full of grace. Yeah, without the barrel full of grace, you cannot be able to succeed in your life. Years passed by. This couple settled. God blessed them with the children. It so happened that the preacher who preached, he happened to visit their home. So he was there for an itinerary ministry, a preaching ministry. So they stayed with this family. And during the conversation, the wife, the girl who said, oh, still you remember your message there. You, during our marriage message, you said that for the successful marriage, what is needed? Basket full of grace. Uncle, not only basket full, we realized, after so many years of our experience, we understood it is not only basket full, not only barrel full, we need a truck full of grace to successful marriage. Yes, really, that is true. Those who are experienced the married life, they can understand. It is the truck full of grace. The divine grace is needed for the successful married life. So let the house of yours be like the house of Perish, who enjoyed the grace of God. So may God help us to meditate upon this. One of the most beautiful benedictions in the Bible. The purpose of the marriage we see here. The role of husband and wife we see there. And the success of the marriage. Let me repeat it again. There's nothing harm in repeating it. The grace of God is needed for the success of your marriage. If there's no grace of God, the marriage will not be a successful thing. So let us pray that God shower thy grace to our family life. May God bless this verse to our hearts and meditate upon it. God will bless